Chicago, 1690 WVON.
I don't move as good as I used to. Some days it takes me a minute or two. But the world keeps turning like it's meant to do. And time don't wait, it just carries you through. I've had good days and a few slip away. Had a few things work out a different way. But you live long enough and you'll see it's true.
All right.
Worth keeping, take time to come.
This is beautiful. Good morning, and welcome to Senior Talk, brought to you by WVON. And I am LaDonna Raeh. I'm sitting in for Miss Clara Hubbard. As you know, she called in last week, which was a beautiful treat. Beautiful to have her voice hit the airwaves and you guys to hear that she's doing well. Thank you for all her prayers, as she said it. And she's got some things going on. It is, she ain't been sitting back, I tell you that. But listen, this is another episode of Senior Talk, where we're celebrating the wisdom and experience and continued impact of our senior community. Every week we sit down with remarkable individuals, just, who remind us of getting older and how it doesn't mean slowing down, okay? Because I call myself a pre-senior. It means having more stories to tell because I sit at the feet of my father, my mother. I used to talk with my grandmother, and I recorded some of her conversations because I knew I could listen to them forever. AI ain't got nothing on that. And just learning the lessons of different individuals. But there's also a caregiver piece that goes along with being a senior. I'm a sandwich kid. I've talked to people that are taking care of their parents or a loved one, and of course their own children. So whether you're listening from home or in your car or any place outside of Chicago, we want to welcome you to Senior Talks. Our phone lines are available to you. If you're a senior, you can certainly call in if you have questions. That number is 773-591-1690. And we're on Facebook and YouTube. So you can share the show. If you're watching on Facebook, you can certainly hit the share button and share it with all of your friends. They don't have to be seniors or caregivers. Just share it with everyone because this is some information. I tell you, everybody can learn from this particular show. And this morning, I'm excited to introduce to you our very special guest. Anytime that we're looking at situations where history is being should I say they're trying to take history away. Once history has happened, you really can't take it away. Somebody's going to remember it and tell somebody. And that's what it's all about. But the accuracy of history needs to be curated. It needs to be taught. It needs to be activated. And it can be an artistry. Joining us this morning is, is Lana Talbot. I'm sorry. It's too early. Okay. Lana Talbot. She is a respected community historian, activist, artist, heritage educator, and activist, or should I say advocate, whose work has helped preserve Black history and culture for future generations. Lana has spent years educating visitors, conducting historical tours, sharing stories of the Underground Railroad. Yep, I got your attention. And ensuring that important pieces of Black history are never forgotten. Please join me in welcoming Miss Lana Talbot. Lana, please say the last name for me because I know I'm butchering it this morning. Good morning.
Good morning, LaDonna. It's Talbot.
Talbot, thank you.
Talbot. Yeah, tell a story.
Got it. I'm like, I know this name. This is ridiculous. Yes. Lana, thank you so much for joining us so early in the morning, all the way from where? Tell everybody where you are.
Windsor, Ontario, Canada. Just across the border from Detroit.
Mm-hmm. I love it. I love it. Lana, when you look back over your journey, what are you most proud of today? Because this whole historical preservation is so important for generations to come, but not just that, generations that have lived it and tell it. What are you most proud of today?
Most proud of, I come to learn and come to know God as my Savior, Jesus Christ, the Holy Spirit. I've come to know that. I have a great grandmother who lived with us, and I always say I was attached to her hip, who lived to be 103 years old, who was born in 1856 during slavery, happened to come to Canada with her father, who also fought in the Civil War. And I used to always say, Grandma, were you ever a slave? And she said, no. But the more I read about different things in history, she had to have been. She had to have been.
It's funny you said that because as I go back in just historical conversations with anyone who had even touched picking cotton or touched being a slave, they immediately wanted to disconnect from it.
Exactly. And I think that was her way of trying to probably protect us. But like she was my mother's grandmother, my great grandmother. And that's why I always say this. There's no shame in any part of anyone's life. Your journey is up and down and over and around. This is who we are. This is who God created us to be. My niece asked me today, she says, Aunt Lana, would you ever think that this is the way your life would go? Absolutely not.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely not. I didn't march, but I went to the march in 1963 with Martin Luther King Jr. A lot of people respect the march. A lot of people say, oh, no, so-and-so. But at that time, he did what he had to do.
Mm-hmm.
I was there at the inauguration of Barack Obama. I took my sister, my niece's mother. I took her, my best friend, and my granddaughter. And I told my granddaughter, I said, this is history. You are now a part of history. And that's how I felt when I went to the march. And I tell you, from that time on, there was something that kept tugging at me. What's going on? What's going on? Especially here in Canada. Especially here in Canada. If you think the United States is bad, I always say, we may not have had some of the things that you all, and never went through the things you went through, some of the horribleness of slavery. But we had slaves here. Mm-hmm. We had people that were burned to death. Angelique Miquel, she was a woman that was enslaved in Montreal, Canada. And she heard that the people were going to sell the plantation where she was at, and they were going to sell all the slaves too. And she got very upset. And they said she set the place on fire. But she didn't. A fire happened. She was blamed for it. And they marched her through Montreal, Quebec, and then put her on a stake and burned her. Is that horrible? That's the one that we knew about. If that happened then, it happened before. The Black Canadians, I always say this, United States has a cold.
Mm-hmm.
You know it. Eyes running, nose running, coughing.
Yeah.
Canada has a cancer.
Canada has a what? And then we got to go to break.
Okay, Canada has a cancer.
Oh.
4th stage.
All right. Ooh, all right. I tell you what, hold on tight just a second, Miss Lana. I want to get the rest of this. Definitely. This is history in the making and being told from the journey that you have actually, I should say, educated many. But we're going to take a real quick break. And when we come back,
All right.
more from you.
Okay.
All right. I think I'm caught up in my weekly show, Miss Lana. We have a break during the week. What am I thinking? Okay. There's no break today. The break is, I want to ask you, in your current status, I know, right? Shapira said, uh, in your current status, I know that you have curated quite a bit of history, quite a bit of information from the Underground Railroad. When it comes to slavery in Canada, there is a thought process that, you know, two nations cannot be wrong about what they went through. It's obvious and evident that two nations have had a situation when it comes to slavery. And then you mentioned that your loved one, your family member, your grandmother said, no, I never experienced that. I am, you know, the first generation to not experience that. And I often think about how we can go back to the first generation that had to experience that. That first generation was forced to lose everything that they knew up to that point. They were forced to lose everything up to that point and then adopt what life was going to be like from that moment forward, and then teach it to future generations, almost as if they had to die. They had to die and still be living, and then teach the new generations the new way of living for survival purposes. And then when they got to the end of slavery, quote unquote, the slavery, the traditional slavery, right? When they got to the end of traditional slavery, now you're not even forced to be free, but you are expected to live as such. That has been should I say, a roller coaster of decisions to make in order to know what to teach future generations, because that wasn't that long ago. That wasn't that long ago, Miss Lana.
No, it wasn't. And it isn't. And being a Canadian, like being a history nut, as they call me. Oh, Lana, you know everything. I don't know everything, but I have a couple of thousand books, you would say. And I don't read all of them, but there's certain things I do read in them. And one of my books are Black People Invented Everything. And when you start talking about dying, not the natural death, but dying the life you had within you in order to go on and keep going on, we had to do things to make our life a little easier. That's why we are great inventors. We do things because we have to do them in order to survive. And surviving here in Canada is, I will say this, especially here in Windsor, there are more people of color, and that's what they like to say now.
That's what they call, that's what you guys call Black people in Canada, people of color, or do you say Black?
I say Black. I'm a Black Canadian, Underground Railroad Black Canadian, because we now have a great influx of the Jamaicans. I shouldn't say Jamaican, the Caribbean. And we have a great influx of Africans. There are more Black people here in Windsor, which we have we're only about 250,000 people. Maybe we've got to the point of we're 300,000 people here in the city. And we have no Black representation in City Hall. We have no Black representation anywhere. Like, if we have our schools, I'm going to go to my great nephew's graduation. When I went to his first graduation, we would say, his mother said, she's white. She says, Aunt Lana, what's wrong with this picture? I said, what's wrong with it? I says, you know very well what's wrong with it.
Mm-hmm.
98% of the people of color, and that could be the East Indian, the West Indian, the African, and some Black Canadians. I said, 98% of them are graduating. And look at the teachers. You've got one Black teacher up there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We're being taught by them that know nothing about who we are. Nothing. There's a young lady there. We have some really smart young ladies, young Black women. They're Underground Railroad people that know history. They're in the schools teaching. They're trying now to protect the Black youth. We're trying to bring up young Black men to be young Black men with knowledge, not this crazy stuff with their pants hanging down and, all of that. That's just a show. That means absolutely nothing to your future or your children's future. This is something that it needs to be negated. Just let it go.
Yeah. I was telling a friend of mine, quite a few friends of mine, and I'm going to go on this whole campaign. We need an unslaved master. We need somebody we need to say, okay, you need to die today based on what you think you are, who you think you are, as living under the umbrella of being a derivative of the generations of slavery that we have become. You mentioned your great grandmother's influence, but did you mention that she actually knew Harriet Tubman and Sojourner Truth?
She did. And my grandmother was like, they were here. These people were here, actually physically here. Frederick Douglass was here in the city of Windsor, especially at Sandwich First Baptist Church. And at that time, we were just a log cabin where we had church. I'd like to explain how we got here. Mm-hmm. When they escaped from slavery, from the plantations, and they got here. And once they got here some people thought, oh my, it's free. It's free. We're free. Mm-hmm. But there were Black Canadians that had been here, had a little more freedom than what they had in this down south, because I understand there are a lot of Black influential people in the United States in the 17 and 1800s. There were a lot of them. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you wonder, what were they doing if not helping? Why weren't they helping those people? I don't understand that. Mm-hmm. They weren't helping the ones that didn't. When you come from Africa, you couldn't even understand the language.
Right. Come on. People forget that. They think that we were speaking ignorant, but we were taking on the characteristics of our oppressor. So if we were in the South and they talked like this, and that's how we talked. That's how we adopted our cadence of language. And we weren't ignorant. We were forced to lose who we were. We got a couple of callers. I want to definitely give them time to speak with you, because I know they are excited and eager. And this is a great framework of how or from whence you came, from who you've been related to, and the journey of being an activist such as yourself. At 80 years old, I was told I have permission to say how old you are or how young you are.
81, God willing, I'll be 81 in August.
That's right. So, but you're still active. You're still an activist. And with all of this history and all of these this information, the resilience that you have, it just takes us to through your experience of discrimination as a child. You were excluded as an artist to facing racism in the classroom, and many people would be bitter, but instead you've become an advocate and a historian. Real quick, how did you turn those painful experiences into fuel instead of, being bitter? And that's the fuel that pretty much drives you today, seemingly. How?
Well, I still have a little bitterness, but I've overcome my hatred because I did hate. Just like they hated me, I hated them. But my mother taught me there's no love in hate. And my mother was a very soft, kind woman. And she always said I was like my dad, ready to go and grab. I learned they can take and do whatever they want with you, but the one thing they can't do is change your mind. They can do whatever they want. They can fail you, but you still got that talent. They can't stop the talent. They can say they can fail you, but you still got that mind. They can't take that from you. And I think that's one thing. I know when my grade 10 teacher failed me and told me why he failed me, because he didn't like my attitude. He didn't, because I'm not going to let people just forcibly just put down on me and just say what you can't do and you can't do this. Yes, I can. I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me. And that's my motto. I can do all things. I'm getting ready to start doing an Underground Railroad museum right at Sandwich First Baptist Church. And that's the oldest Black church in Canada still having Sunday service. Although some people don't want it because they don't want to be associated with slavery, just like what we said. We come out of slavery, and we need to let people know. If you talk to anybody, any of the white people here in the city, there's a group that will know, and there's another group that will say, I never even knew that. Why? Because nobody's teaching it. We fought for our kids, our young kids, to be able to have some kind of, not the Uncle Tom book. And some people, and I've read Uncle Tom's, and there's a museum in Dresden that's called, it used to be called Uncle Tom's Cabin. I said, why would you call anything Uncle Tom's Cabin? If you want to name it after the man, name it Josiah Henson, the Reverend Josiah Henson Museum. And guess what? 2 years ago, that's what they did.
That's right.
What took you so long? And I've been preaching it since 2005 or 6. Change the name. Because I used to do bus tours from the States. And a lot of the people, they refuse. We don't want to go to anything that says Uncle Tom's Cabin.
I hear you.
We don't want to go there.
I agree. At 80 years old, you're still educating people, serving as treasurer of the Black Council, I presume. Preserving. No? You retired?
No, I didn't retire. I'm now the elder.
Okay. Well, you're still preserving history and speaking in the community. Let's go ahead and grab us some callers. Hey, Darva. Darva, you're on Senior Talk with our guest, Lana Talbot.
God bless you. Yes, God bless you. I am so delighted to be on this, listening to this wealth of information dealing with Black history, because as I, prayed for like 30 years from 12 midnight to 5 a.m. and all my life. And so to wake up, to get on, to listen to the station and then hear you, LaDonna, you are my number one person. You are so funny, you and Atiba. And I didn't listen to you all week, but I just can't stop laughing, so I can't call in because I'll be laughing at the joke. But I am so excited about the young lady. I want to get the spelling her name because I am Harriet Tubman, and I've been trying to free our people since I was a child. And God and Yahweh had put me in the presence of millionaires and billionaires, but I was just too shy to ask for help. But I worked and supported all of these people in Chicago, and I moved to California, and I'm saying this for a reason. I moved to California to start a new life, and I said to Vegas, but I said, no, I want to go to Canada. But now this may shock you guys. when I found out who was the government or who ran Canada, which I was told by my children who study history and things, when they said, well, you know, Queen Elizabeth, that's the country, that's one of her countries. And I was like, Queen Elizabeth? I thought she was from you. They said, no, but that she still runs Canada. And so I looked at the political side of it, and the guy that was running it in Canada. I wanted to meet with him, but I did not get a chance to because he left office. But what I want to say to the sister, beautiful sister, yes, is that anything that I can help you with, anything, because I am Harriet Tubman. When you see everything I'm doing with Harriet Tubman, my pictures and other Tubmans across the country, I would love to be in Canada with you or to help you because I have a few friends there. I've never been there. I know it's close to Detroit.
Well, I'll tell you what, Darva, what we can do is I can have Shapira take your information and she'll have it for me when I come back to the studio on Monday. And then I can get a connection going. Because we got other callers. I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am.
Can I please get your information because there's so much wealth of information I have to share for you.
Yeah, I'll give it to you right now. It's LaDonna at WVON.com.
Because I did some more research on the senior homes.
Oh, good.
So I want to share it. Okay, love you guys.
Don't forget, email me, Darva. Now, I'm gonna be looking for. You know how people say, "Let's do lunch," and we never do lunch. LaDonna at WVON.com. All right, thank you, Darva. Let's go to our next caller, Miss Lana. We're gonna take Ron. Hey, Ron.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, good morning, LaDonna, and I want to thank you for her contributions. My question to her is, what is her perception of Black people in America, their affinity for this country, and just the overall feeling of the relationship, you know, with people who have left this country. But secondly, the appreciation for all struggles that we see, particularly now, apparent after Black Americans struggle, and they are copied and patterned after that. But that's the main thing from her perception. How do the people from Canada, the feeling of Black American struggle? And I'm not talking about like President Barack. I'm just talking about
just regular citizens. Okay, Miss Lana, what is your response to that? Thank you, Ron.
Okay. Number one, I am an American because I'm born on the North American continent. I am my grandmother, my mother's mother, was an American citizen. So if you were to meet me, you would think I was an American. If I go to Toronto or any other place in Canada, they always say, "Are you from Detroit?" Tell them no. They do not believe that I'm not an American. If you saw me, you would just absolutely say, that's the exuberance that I portray. That's just who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And how I look at people, we are the same people. I don't care. I come from Africa, just like the majority of the African Americans that are in the United States. We all come from Africa. And if you bring it, when you want to break it right down, everyone in the world comes from Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Break it on down.
Tell it, Mama.
We all come from, I'm telling the truth, we all come from Africa. And it's until people, it's those, you know what, there's a few ignorant people. And we have allowed those few ignorant people, yeah, they have the masses of money, but we have allowed them to dictate our future.
And dictate who we are.
What? Yes, and who we are. You know what I see today? I see the same slavery. I see the same exact slavery, what's going on. And it's no different from when they come here in 1619 to the 1863 or 65. It's the same thing. Can't people open their eyes and see what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
They're feeding us Darby. What did they say? Like that guy with the snakes? Is he crazy?
Yeah, it's just different. It's different language. They don't say jive turkey anymore. That's all. You know how we used to say jive turkey, you dig? It's just something different. We got one more caller, Miss Lana. Hi, Mama D, you're live on with Lana Talbot. I'm still butchering that last name, I know. Talbot.
Okay, don't worry about it. You know,
I'm trying to get it together. Look, Miss Lana,
that clothing line.
Miss Lana, I had a colonoscopy yesterday, and I'm like, it's the first one. I still don't feel like myself. So I'll be glad when I get back to who I really am. Okay. Mama D, you're live.
Y'all God rising. As a hard mind damage survivor, age 75 to 84, blessed are you that your days are long on the land that God, not government, has given you. Everybody has a color, including white, the color of snow. That is why I call myself an NAA, Indigenous Negro American African. Claim the country, but don't forget the continent before enslavement. Now, my question is this. You were talking earlier about Uncle Tom's Cabin. Why do you think so many people are ashamed of bringing up Africa, if you bringing up our experience that nobody on the planet Earth has ever endured before? And it is our difference and our struggle that makes us strong. But this media has promoted this, I want to be just like everybody else. We deny ourselves when we say that, and we help others to erase our history because we don't want to remember it. 12 years of slaves, and we got too many movies. We've heard too much about slavery. Get you moving on. Why do you think that change, that shame exists when it is our struggle, our difference that makes us who we are? And when we deny that, we are like a tree without roots. Why do you think that exists?
Miss Talbot?
That's my question.
Why do I think? Because you were taught to think that we have no roots. You were taught that. And, as far as Uncle Tom goes, if I were to put myself in Uncle Tom's position as an overseer of other Black people, in order to get my family out, I probably would have done the same thing he did. He stayed there long enough to get enough money to get his family out and come to Canada. He and Queen Victoria were very good friends. If people knew the history of Queen Victoria, right down to Queen Elizabeth, right down to King Charles to this day, their great Queen Victoria's grandmother was an African woman, Queen Charlotte. And what they've done with paintings, every time you see Queen Charlotte, she gets lighter and lighter and lighter. You talk about filmmakers, Hollywood has destroyed Black people. They've put a pretty white woman with blonde, flowing hair and pretty red lips to make us look like we are ugly. We are nobodies. This is what we've done. This is what this is not the world, but this is what the United States has done to the people that have made the United States who it is today.
Man.
And now they'll say I'll be preaching next.
Yeah, that right there. Oh my gosh. That's a drop the mic moment, Lana. Miss Lana, to me, to show my respect, I want to thank you. It was an absolute pleasure having you be on the show with us. It just wasn't enough time. I feel like I'm coming to Canada to sit at your feet. Your story reminds us that, that age is not a limitation, nor is your testimony. You know what I'm saying? Your testimony was amazingly great and presented. We want more of this, right? Guys, make sure you comment and email us to let us know what information you want to learn from Miss Lana. simply because from learning with you just these 20 minutes about your great grandmother marching for civil rights. I mean, we hear it, but we're hearing it from you. This is amazing, and thank you for sharing your wisdom, your courage, your faith, and how you're still killing it as a seasoned 80-year-old woman. We wish you continued health, continued strength, and so many more years of inspiring others. And we want to thank you for joining us today, Miss Lana.
And I want to thank you, LaDonna, and God bless you, and keep on keeping on, because what you're doing, it tells me it doesn't, age is but a number. When your spirit is strong, we're warriors. And when you're a warrior, honey, warriors never die. They just slip away. Remember that. You are a warrior. God bless you.
Thank you. And to you. All right, guys, don't go anywhere, because coming up next is our weekly segment from our friends at Chicago Commons. Each week, Chicago Commons helps us to navigate important information affecting seniors and caregivers, from healthcare and housing to social connections, wellness, and so much more. Today's segment features, of course, Terrence Santos de la Rosa Sims. He's the Vice President of Senior Services at Chicago Commons. We'll be right back.
Hey, Chicago, are you looking for a place where your loved one can receive the care and support they deserve? Chicago Commons offers adult day services in the heart of Bronzeville, providing a vibrant and caring community center for seniors and adults with disabilities, and that includes meals, transportation, and engaging activities. We also offer a home care program throughout the Chicagoland area that ensures your loved ones get the support they need right at home. If you're interested in Chicago Commons Senior Services, where compassionate care meets your community, call us today at 773-373-5055.
All right, guys, it's time for that Chicago Commons segment. This segment is brought to you by Chicago Commons, doing the real work to support seniors and families right here in our communities. Now, today, we're getting into something that hits home for a lot of us: aging in the Black community. Let that sit for a minute, because we got to be honest. How we age, how we care for our elders, what we expect from family, that's not just personal. Sometimes it can be cultural. So do we care for our own?
Hey, Chicago, are you looking for a place where your loved one can receive the care and support they deserve? Chicago Commons offers adult day services in the heart of Bronzeville, providing a vibrant and caring community center for seniors and adults with disabilities, and that includes meals, transportation, and engaging activities. We also offer a home care program throughout the Chicagoland area that ensures your loved ones get the support they need right at home. If you're interested in Chicago Commons Senior Services, where compassionate care meets your community, call us today at 773-373-5055.
Our Chicago Commons segment, we are talking about something that is deeply connected to healthy aging, but often overlooked: socialization and connection. Joining us once again is Terrence Santos de la Rosa Sims, Vice President of Senior Services at Chicago Commons. Terrence, welcome back to Senior Talk.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
All right. So, here's the thing. When people think about aging, and not just aging, but aging well, usually they focus on medication, doctor visits, or physical health. But social connection seems to be just as important. How does staying socially connected change the way seniors experience aging, purpose, and overall happiness?
Human beings are not designed to age in isolation. As people grow older, social connections become more than companionship. It becomes affirmation that their life still matters to others. A conversation, a shared meal, or simply being remembered can restore dignity and purpose in ways medicine socially connected tend to see aging not as a slow disappearance from society, but as a continued participation in it. Relationships remind them that they are still needed for their wisdom, humor, perspective, and love. Happiness in later life is often less about achievement and more about feeling seen, valued and emotionally connected.
You said something about, wait a minute. All I think about is how my dad tells these jokes that he's told since I was a kid. And for some reason, he gets more tickled when I show that he's being funny. I'm really not understanding how he could even imagine that what he's saying is actually humorous. Can staying socially active actually help reduce depression and maybe even cognitive decline?
When you think about friendships and community and being involved with others, I think it can. It definitely does, reduce depression, emotional distress. Friendships later in life become deeply meaningful because they are rooted less in ambition and more in understanding. Community gives seniors a place where their experience still have relevance and where their presence still contributes to something larger than themselves. Emotional health is strengthened when older adults feel they belong somewhere and have people who genuinely notice their absence. Community involvement combats one of aging's greatest fears, that fear of becoming invisible. When seniors are invited to participate or mentor or volunteer or simply share their stories, they maintain a sense of identity and emotional resilience that protects both the mind and the spirit, hence reducing depression, loneliness, and mental anxiety.
One thing I love is seeing seniors truly enjoying themselves. And just going on outings and even competing during bingo is something that we visualize, but I've never really witnessed. If you think about it, what kinds of activities or programs tend to make the biggest difference when helping seniors stay socially engaged?
I think about what we do here at Chicago Commons in our adult day service. I mentioned in previous segments that, there's this myth that adults, seniors who go to adult day services just sit around and color and watch TV. That couldn't be any further from the truth. At Chicago Commons in our ADS program, for example, our seniors are very active. They go out for manicures, they take a tour of the city of Chicago, they've been to the Field Museum of Science and Industry, they've been to theater shows like The Wiz and the Tina Turner Story. Actually, today they all went bowling, they go to the library, they go to Shedd Aquarium, they go to Music in the Park. We've had symphony opera groups come here to our location on 50th Street and perform. We've had themed parties. Yesterday, we had a barbecue for everyone. We have Spirit Week. We have costume, Mardi Gras, superhero days, barbecues and bag lunch trips. So there's a lot of activities that go on. You think about activities, people think about, board games and things like that. And that may be part of it, drawing, coloring, things of that nature. But they're outings. They get physical. They go out. We're really innovative and creative and try to keep them abreast of being as active as possible. And they actually do exercise as well. We have chair exercises that they do, mobility, things like that. So the list actually goes on and on. It's literally not exhaustive.
What role does friendship and community involvement play in maintaining emotional and mental health later in life?
It goes back to what I stated earlier. As seniors get older, and when I say older, I'm referring to like 80, 90, even 100 years old. A lot of the people that they grew up with, they came up with, that they know personally, and they're close and close proximity. Unfortunately, we all have to pass away at some point. And then we get to that point where our closest friends, they pass away and we feel like we don't have that connection with people from our generation. But what we need to realize is that sometimes later in life, building new relationships and friendships that may not be as deep as friendships that you may have had with a friend that you've had 40, 50, 60, 70 years. However, new friendships with like minds can introduce you to new things, build new perspectives. And you're never too old to learn. I think that's a myth sometimes, that you age out of learning, or I'm too old to do this, or I'm too old to think about those things. But that's not necessarily true. You're as old as you feel. And if you're inspired and you're encouraged and you feel empowered to keep going and keep learning, these type of things won't impact you in a negative way, as it is a great opportunity to open up to new perspectives and new opportunities to explore communication and build new friendships in your community, even if that's with new neighbors, as a matter of fact.
No new friends. Why do many older adults still struggle with loneliness even when they have family around them? How's that possible?
Loneliness is often the pain of feeling emotionally disconnected rather than physically alone. Many seniors sit in rooms full of people yet feel unheard because the world around them seemingly moves faster than their ability to participate in it. They may hesitate to speak about grief, fear, aging, or loss because they do not want the burden, they don't want to burden their families. But over time, this silence can become emotional isolation. Communities must move beyond simply caring for seniors and begin intentionally living with them. True connection happens when older adults are included in conversations, decisions, traditions, and shared experiences, and not treated as observers of life, but as a continuing contributor of society.
Do you think generational gaps and loss of independence sometimes make seniors feel emotionally disconnected, even when their loved ones care deeply about them?
I think they can, but I think it depends on each individual and kind of where you are, right? I'm sure you've had these experiences where you know some older adults that are very vibrant and they reminisce on back in the days when they used to party and dance and go out and do all these things. And although they may not be 30 anymore, they may be 70, 80, 90 years old, they still have that vibrant spirit within them. So I think a lot of times it depends on the person, what they've gone through, where they're currently at. You know, health issues can impact that psychologically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. But I think if you can kind of get a grasp on where you are in life and enjoy and accept, not just accept where you are, but embrace it and pivot and figure out what's the best way for me to move forward. Because none of us know when our time is going to come. But, you know, it may sound cliche to say, hey, live this day as though it's your last. But guess what? One day you're going to be right. So when that day comes, you want to be ready if you can be. And if not, you know, live it like it is your last. Because again, like I said, it will be. And so I think it depends on the individual.
All right. So I think communities sometimes underestimate how much small things matter, like transportation, independence, phone calls, outings, opportunities to gather. What can communities and family do differently to help seniors feel more connected and less isolated?
You know, just be involved. See, sometimes we assume our loved ones, because of their age, there's only certain things that they can do. When you think about seniors, you think about, oh, what about church activities? What about bingo night? What about, you know, some things that are going on at the local YMCA? And all those things are good. All of those things are advantageous to one's ability to participate and connect and not feel lonely. However, you know, asking the individual, what do they like to do? What would they like to see themselves doing? How can we not just include you in things? How can we be included in the things that you want to do that make sense for where you are? I think that's pivotal. You know, we talk about independence, we talk about forward thinking, and thought provoking ideas that, you know, these seniors have a lot. They may slow down a little bit, but that doesn't mean that they, you know, out the race. They just, you know, they have their own ideas about, you know, how things should be and what they would like it to look like. And, you know, every now and then, like we all can get, you know, just because you feel lonely doesn't mean that you're necessarily alone. And because you're alone, that doesn't mean that you're necessarily lonely. I just think gathering and engaging seniors in their own ideas of what is, you know, fulfilling for them, I think is very critical to the success of, you know, how they want to live and continue to live a fulfilled life while we're here on this planet.
How can seniors continue building meaningful relationships and discovering new passions after retirement or major life changes?
Retirement, loss, or major life transitions can feel like endings, but they can also become invitations to rediscover identity beyond career titles or responsibilities. Many seniors spend decades giving to others and only later ask themselves what truly brings them joy. Meaningful relationships often grow when people allow themselves to remain curious, vulnerable, and open.
All right, guys. I'm not sure if that cut out in just all of a sudden there. But you just heard from Terrence De La Rosa Sims from Chicago Commons, and what we have shared, just just giving you some more insight on what can be done when it comes to senior living. It's we're retirement faith groups, all of those things are so important to have in your circle so that you can keep your mind sharp. But I'm so happy that we had a chance to speak to our guest, Lana, who all the way from Canada. She says she's still claiming Detroit. She didn't say that, but I'm saying it. She said I was born on the North American continent, so therefore this is who I am. And I love that question. How do you see Black Americans in Canada, in the United States? And she basically said that we're all the same. Hearing from our aging population, our seasoned population, however you want to look at it, it's such a blessing. I have a heart for, what can I say? I have a heart for our seasoned population, not just because of my father, not just because of my mom, because when I say my dad is 75 and so is my mom, they're the same age. My dad hit 75 first. My mom hit it in February. I can't believe they're 75. Like 75. My parents are 75. And I remember when they were 30 something. I remember when they were 40. My mother used to say 38 special. That's how old she was when I remember her saying that. And now we're at the 75 mark. But it's a blessing no matter what, because I know and hope that someday I'll be there. My mother was able to she was able to have a 34-year-old grandson. I don't have any grandchildren as of yet, none on the way, but that's a blessing. And we're up at the end of the hour, and I want to leave you with a blessing. When we speak to our elders, when they talk to us about their past, their history, and their needs, don't look at them as a burden, as my son said. My 15-year-old said that teenagers look at seasoned folks as burdens. Look at them as a blessing and know that someday you'll be in that seat just as well. But keep doing it. Keep doing what you're doing. Stay hydrated, exercise. I know I mentioned my colonoscopy, right? But it came out clear. Everything came out okay. Oink, oink. So I'm happy about that. And I just wanted to say thank you for joining us. Share the show. And we want to hear from you. You can email me, LaDonna@WVON.com. And what's helping you stay active, connected, and fulfilled as you get older? Or perhaps there's a senior in your life who's inspiring you with how they continue to make an impact. Give us a call next week on Senior Talk. I'll see you guys at 9:00 on the Wake Up Show Chicago in just an hour or so. But thank you for joining us. And thank you, Chicago Commons. Bye-bye for now. I'm LaDonna Raeh.
Things work out a different way, but you live life.